Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Joe Your Cooking Guide. Are you always looking for a way to utilize some leftovers, things you have in the fridge that you want to incorporate into another dish? Well, today that's what we're going to focus on. I don't know if you saw in my previous video, we made those really awesome slow cooked short ribs with a gremolata and some of the onions and the bacon and the mushrooms on top. So I had some leftover short rib, and I figured it would be kind of cool to incorporate it into a pasta. So hang out with me for a little bit, and I'm going to show you a great recipe. So the recipe that we're going to focus on today is a pasta utilizing some of those short ribs from my previous video. And I just pulled them and left them into some bigger chunks as opposed to shredding it really fine. I kind of like the bigger pieces. And then we're going to accompany the short ribs with a little bit of fresh thyme, some parsley. I have some sun-dried tomatoes. This is about 10 whole sun-dried tomatoes, and I just cut them into some little strips. And then we have roasted garlic. So the way that I made the roasted garlic was just took a piece of aluminum foil, dropped a bunch of peeled garlic, olive oil, salt and pepper, and then just closed up the bundle. Put that into a 350 oven for about 35-45 minutes. And you just take that out and you got some amazing roasted garlic. And some of the other components of the recipe, this here is just some of the braising liquid from the ribs, the short ribs from the previous video. And I just strain that out, and we're going to utilize that in the pasta. And then just some chopped shallots and some fresh arugula. So we're going to start off our recipe by making our roasted garlic cream. And very simply, we're going to take some heavy cream, about, I'm going to say, let's say that's about a cup, maybe a little bit more than a cup. And then we're going to take some of our roasted garlic, just roughing it here, a good tablespoon. There's probably 10 cloves. We had about 15 cloves in there. And then we're just going to take an immersion blender. I mean, you can do this in any blender. And we're just going to puree the cream and the garlic together. And that's it. Okay, so we have our cream. We're going to wipe up our board because I made a little bit of a mess here. All right, so we have our roasted garlic cream. And now what we're going to do is move over to the stove and start putting our pasta dish together. Great, so what we're going to do, we're going to start making our pasta. So we just have a pot here that I preheated. Right, just going to put that on the flame. Little bit of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our shallots and just dump them in. And this is approximately 6 shallots that I just sliced down. No real order, right? And we're just going to start to kind of sweat those out a little bit. We really don't want to get a lot of color on them, so that's why I pulled it off the heat just a little bit. Right, so we put our shallots on, and as always, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. Okay? Always season each layer of your dish. Right? So we have our shallots. Those are looking great. Okay, starting to brown a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some of that braising liquid from the short ribs, and we're just going to put that in. What we're doing now is really starting to build some layers of flavor. So that braising liquid from the short ribs is really intense. And once we reduce it down, it's going to create a foundation of flavor for the pasta dish. All right, so we're going to let this reduce down. And after that comes down, we're going to add in our heavy cream with the roasted garlic. Right, we're going to put a little bit more black pepper. I'm not going to add any more salt because the braising liquid was seasoned from the previous video. So you can see that. I mean, it's going to it starts bubbling around the sides there, and I'm going to show you the point that you really want to get it to reduce down. It doesn't need to go all the way, but we really just want to intensify the first layer of flavor. And those shallots are going to start to infuse into that braising liquid. And it's just really going to make this pasta dish absolutely amazing. Right, so we have that stock that's reducing down. And this dish, once we get all the components in, it's going to go really, really quick. So that's going, and what we're going to do now is we're going to first check before I add in. There we go. That's looking really, really nice. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to add in our roasted garlic cream. Right, and this, because it is heavy cream, it did tighten up a little bit when we pureed it, but that's not a problem at all. All right, so we're going to take that. Look at that. That is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you'll see that as it reduces down even more with the cream, it's going to intensify in color. So now what we'll do is we'll add a little bit of salt in here. Okay. In the pasta that we're using today, I have some orecchiette pasta, or little ears, is what they kind of resemble. And I just went ahead and pre-cooked the pasta in some boiling salted water. And this is al dente right now, and that's perfect because what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting that into our sauce and cooking it inside the sauce briefly. Right, and that's going to really help some of the flavors incorporate into the pasta. Right, so that's reducing down nice. We have our short ribs, we have our sun-dried tomatoes, and then once we get all those components, we're going to add in our arugula, our fresh thyme, parsley, and just make this most amazing pasta. And the coolest thing is, it's just a lot of our leftovers. And that's exactly what this video is about, to just show how we can utilize some of the leftovers in our fridge from previous nights, dinners or lunch, and just make it into something really, really cool. Right? So we'll take a look at that, and you see that's just looking really, really nice. And I'm going to just turn the heat up slightly to just help this reduce down a little bit quicker. But I just need to taste that because it's looking way too good. All right, so wow. The flavor, just resembles the braising liquid from the short ribs, and it's so intense. And that roasted garlic that we pureed and infused into the cream, the two flavors just really just all mesh very well. And the shallots, I love shallots. I mean, I prefer shallots in this dish as opposed to onions because I just like that flavor a little bit more. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our short ribs. Let's add in our short ribs. And that, right here, this is about, I'm going to say about 8 ounces of short ribs. This was about 4 pieces that we had just pulled apart. Right, so we're going to put that in. And then we're going to add in our sun-dried tomatoes. Right, and you can see, I mean, that's just looking absolutely gorgeous. It's thickening up, and it's just going to be amazing. Right, so we're going to add in our sun-dried tomatoes. Like I said, that's about 10 sun-dried tomatoes. Right, and now, what I did, if you're a little trick here, what I did was when I cooked the pasta, I actually saved a little bit of the pasta water, right? And that can always be used to just loosen the sauce up just a little bit, right? That's looking so good already, and we still have a few other pieces that we need to add in here. Okay? So this is looking good. Again, I'm not going to season it because when I tried it, it was really good. I liked the way it was tasting, and the short ribs already had seasoning on them. Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our pasta. Right? We're going to take that, add it into our pot. Right? And some sticks on there, not a problem. Take that and just really start, I'm actually going to shut the heat off now and just start turning that around a little bit. Right? Moving that pasta around, getting that sauce on there. Look at that. Does that look beautiful? And as always, I'm going to add a little bit more black pepper. I want to do a quick little taste on it. Right? Let's just see what we're working with here. That is absolutely fantastic. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this back to our board and finish up the final seasoning. So what we're going to do, we're going to finish up our pasta now. So on the stove, we added in the short ribs, the sun-dried tomatoes, the reduction from the short rib recipe, and some of that roasted garlic cream. Now, we're going to finish it up with our arugula. And all I did with the arugula was just give it a very rough chop. Right, so we're going to take that, add some of that in. And I would say that's probably enough there. And that's about 4 ounces of arugula. This is just a little bit of chopped thyme. I would say that's probably a good teaspoon of fresh thyme. And then a touch of chopped parsley. Again, probably another teaspoon. Right? And we're going to take that and just toss it all together. And the arugula will just wilt in the pasta from the heat. That's it. Pasta's done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plate it up. Right? So we're going to take some of this and we're just going to put it on our plate. See how gorgeous that is? I love the flavors in here. The short ribs make it really, really kind of decadent. The arugula adds that peppery little touch to it. And that's it. I think that's a nice portion for me. But you can see we used about a 12-ounce bag of pasta, and this could easily feed 3 to 4 adults, and have plenty for the next day, which I'm perfectly fine with. And then to finish, our final touch, just getting a really fine grater, and we're going to get a little bit of Parmesan cheese and just take that over the top of the pasta. Now does that not look absolutely amazing? And it's just a quick, simple dish with leftovers that we had in the fridge, a few items that we had in the pantry, some simple herbs, and you have an absolutely amazing pasta. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this recipe and learned something new about how to use some of the leftovers that you have in your kitchen or in your fridge, in your pantry. We use short ribs, but you can easily use chicken, you can use a protein, you could keep it vegetarian entirely. If you like this video, please take the time to hit the like and subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.